From Scripps Sports, this is Griz Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of the Griz Insider here on the Montana Television Network. Alongside the voice of the Griz, Riley Corcoran, I'm Kyle Hansen, and we're going to shake things up in this week's edition as we preview and look at all fall sports at the University of Montana. But today we are going to focus on soccer and volleyball. But first, before we do that, Riley, great to see you as always. And weird game on Saturday for football, but they are 7-0. They do keep kind of chugging along, and we're about to hit a fun part of the schedule. But what did you think of Saturday's performance?
Just bizarre, I think, across the board, right? I think incomplete would probably be the one word that comes to mind, where all of us were walking away from the stadium. We're picking the good parts of the game, the first quarter, the fourth quarter, and then maybe some head-scratching moments in the second and the third quarter. And what's interesting about this football team this year, Kyle, is they're 7-0. They're ranked in the top 5. They have all of their goals in front of them. Yet they haven't played a complete game yet. And I think from the coaching staff's perspective, that could be frustrating, but also maybe encouraging, the fact they haven't played their best yet. But yeah, certainly some puzzling signs throughout that game. I think it was very fitting that it was bizarre and it was the latest non-conference game in 14 years. It kind of felt that way, disjointed throughout the game.
Especially with the scheduling, too. I mean, we talked about that kind of throughout the week, the way this game did happen. Sacred Heart was fun to watch. I mean, you know, obviously Snyder and Summers were awesome players, and I thought they lived up to the billing quite well in their performances and things like that. But for the Griz, was maybe expecting more of a dominant performance, as you said, not quite the full game. The offense was humming. Kaylee Ayat named the Big Sky Conference Offensive Player of the Week for his performance, only throwing 6 incompletions, 5 touchdowns, 6 total, and then obviously the defense kind of having some moments but buckling down. So we'll see how it goes this big week against Sacramento State. Now let's pivot to the other sports now. So soccer, they're going to be playing for a championship this week, and that's really exciting, and it's kind of the norm for them as they aim for this regular season three-peat. Big emotional win against Sacramento State this past week, which I thought was big, and we've seen it with this team. So many injuries, but they keep persevering, and you know, shout out to Chris Citowicki and his staff for what they do.
Absolutely. It really is just a shining star within Grizzly Athletics each and every year, that no matter what is thrown their way, they're still at the top of the Big Sky Conference. And it almost feels like they're getting dealt new challenges each and every year in the injury front this season. For those that haven't been following maybe the week by week, the seniors, they've just been decimated by the injury. So the fact that it was senior day, that they were able to get the big victory over Sacramento State, the team that knocked them out last year as well, it was just really fitting all the way across the board. And this program right now, with what they're doing, to have a chance to win a title, Coach Citowicki's dialed in every single day when it comes to it. But the fact that they could win their 8th Big Sky title in 8 years of him being here, let's not overlook just the fact of how dominant they've been in the league.
100%. They got 10 wins this season. If they beat Portland State on Thursday, they will be the outright Big Sky Conference regular season champions once again. And of course, in November, they will host the Big Sky Conference tournament. So big things going for soccer. As we turn the page to volleyball, it's been a historic season for the volleyball program. Obviously, they had a 10-game winning streak in there. Things have been a little bit shaky in conference play. The Big Sky Conference, though, in volleyball, especially the top end, is very good. You know, 5-set loss against the Cats, 5-set loss against Sacramento State, which is tough. But then on the flip side, they beat Sac State, 5-set win over Portland State, who's traditionally good. It's just they're kind of all over the place, but they are also a young group still figuring it out.
Yeah, and I think that really maybe is the underlying storyline that we can moving forward with both of these programs, is the fact you have so many underclassmen that are contributing right now. For Grizzly soccer, maybe they didn't want to, and it was the injuries that have forced that. For Grizzly volleyball, they have built a really good young core. Some freshmen from last year, and Delaney Russell, as well as Sydney Pierce. Delaney Russell, a career high as far as kills and digs last week against Portland State, that 5-set win. But it has been it's been great to watch this volleyball program take the next step. And yes, they still need to complete the regular season. They still need to win a conference tournament match for the first time in quite a while, but you're seeing the signs of what they have in store for them. 3 straight 5-set matches. I know it's been a lot for Allison Lawrence and her crew, but certainly coming back home this week against Weber State and Idaho State, just to continue to stay in the top half of the league standing. It's a loaded Big Sky, kind of all jammed up this year, so we'll see the separation the next couple of weeks.
As we're seeing these regular seasons kind of come to a close too, I mean, we talked about this earlier, where there was that stretch in September where all 3 programs were, I think, like 16-0 at a certain point. I mean, it's been a lot of fun watching success with the athletic department, and you can see it spreading as well.
It's contagious, right? Winning is contagious across the entire department, and you get the pressure of, hey, volleyball and football won, soccer needs to win this week. So it's been fun to see, and obviously great for us to be able to talk about so much success and great success stories within it.
100%. We're excited to break those sports down going forward, as Chris Citowicki and Allison Lawrence will join us on this week's Griz Insider. We'll be right back after the break.
Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
Welcome back to the Griz Insider, switching it up this week and talking about a ton of victories in one of the more successful programs in the entire region, but certainly here at the University of Montana. It's Grizzly Soccer and their head coach, Chris Citowicki. An emotional day, an emotional week, Coach, but you guys got it done as you beat Sacramento State 1-0 on Senior Day. Before we even get into any of the matches, how you doing here on the final week of the regular season?
Good, stressed out, excited, everything you could possibly put together, all rolled up into one ball. That's me right now.
Well, there was a lot going on for your program, not only during the match, but afterwards with what you guys accomplished. Your 10th victory. First time that's happened now in 3 consecutive years since 1998, 1999, and 2000. What's that just say about the consistency of the program now that you've built here at Montana?
Yeah, excellent consistency, which is what you want, right? If you're going to be competing in anything, you want to be winning all the time or competing for titles all the time. So for us to be in a spot that we can represent the alumni and everything that has happened before here historically and be doing it like this, it's pretty amazing.
You beat Sacramento State 1-0 on Sunday, but obviously what happened beforehand we're going to talk about with your seniors. 11 seniors, and for anyone that's been following this program, they know what you've had to deal with as far as injuries this year, but maybe for those that even don't, just the fact of what the senior class has meant to you and how emotional was it for your team and for the program to be able to honor those seniors on Sunday?
Yeah, hardest one for me that I've experienced in a really long time. It was just amazing people, right? Great soccer players, but to have so many of them not playing this year, it's just really gut-wrenching. And it's allowed us to, almost promote younger players into certain key positions, but at the same time to finally be at a spot where you got to say goodbye to these kids, it was really painful.
It was, but yet you still have those underclassmen be able to contribute now, and it was a great nugget after the match that 12 of your first 15 goals this year were scored by your seniors, and now the last 6 have been scored by your underclassmen. So in recent weeks, how have you seen these underclassmen maybe grow up in front of your eyes even more and to step into those roles now, maybe even a leadership capacity, but just to see the underclassmen step up the way?
Yeah, right. Obviously, more playing time you get, the more comfortable you get on the field, and when you have good leadership from the senior group and the juniors that are telling them, go out there, be yourself, you can do it, I support you, I believe in you, then that just unlocks their ability to make mistakes and believe in themselves. And when you're doing that, you start playing well. And you can see a handful of them. Reagan Brizendine is catching fire. Kaylee Kerr is catching fire. We got kids who are playing really well at the right time of the season.
And when you just look at the Big Sky Conference in general, Coach, and now with the situation that you guys have, you are in control of your own destiny for a Big Sky Conference regular season crown. And for those that aren't aware of it, you have a chance at history. There's never been a team that's won 3 consecutive outright regular season Big Sky crowns. You didn't shy away from that pressure at the beginning of the year, and now that you're here with just 1 match remaining, what's that feeling like, and just your thoughts on the situation on Thursday?
Oh, really exciting.
Yeah.
Right, at the end of the day, I want to keep focused and focus on a process, but it's really exciting to be in a spot where we can make history and do something like that. But again, as a team, we're very good at just hunkering down and doing what we have to do. And my main focus becomes lift tomorrow morning and practice tomorrow afternoon, and then traveling correctly and playing correctly.
And when you talk about Portland State, just maybe some things that you need to make sure that your team stays aware of, that with problems that they can possess. We've talked all year long how strong the Big Sky Conference is from top to bottom this year, in Portland State will certainly be no slouch on Thursday.
Yeah, they keep games close. They can keep everybody within arm's reach, which is a sign of a very good team. And all of a sudden, they can catch you on a counter as well. Very good on set pieces. So we've got to plan very well today so that we train very well tomorrow and so that we're ready for that game.
Final question for you. It was announced earlier this week, of course, that Ashlyn Dvorak will be coming back. Your standout goalkeeper. She has 21 shutouts now in her career. You guys have allowed 1 goal in your last 6. What does that do for your program and obviously the high level that she's playing right now?
If you haven't seen her play, you got to see her play. That's it, man. I mean, the kid's absolutely amazing. She is phenomenal to watch, an amazing leader behind the scenes, and to know that we have her coming back next year is just such a, positive feeling throughout the whole group. When she announced it in the locker room, it was amazing.
Well, the Griz now with 10 wins on the season. They're looking for the outright Big Sky Conference regular season crown, and they'll try and do it Thursday against Portland State. Head coach Chris Citowicki leading the way. We'll talk Grizzly volleyball next with Allison Lawrence.
Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
Welcome back as the Griz Insider continues on our fall sports update edition, and now it's time to talk about Grizzly volleyball, one of the best stories in the athletic department and really in the entire Big Sky Conference throughout the course of the year. Their head coach Allison Lawrence joining us now. And coach, a wild road trip for your team. You've played 3 consecutive 5-set matches right now. You get it done against Portland State for your first win there in a decade. So how did it feel to get that win, to overcome from all the 5-set craziness the last couple of weeks?
It was a thrill for sure, especially with kind of the similarities between Thursday night and Saturday, just being up 2-0 and then sort of feeling the other team figure some things out and feeling our side really struggle with making those counter adjustments. I think Portland State felt like a really good breakthrough in a lot of levels. Yes, a 10-year breakthrough, but also a breakthrough in the sense that we had momentum, then we didn't, and then we found it again. So I think that was a great lesson for us.
Absolutely. And again, the Sacramento State match on Thursday, you guys win the first 2 sets there. So it was a lot of good things throughout the course of the weekend for your team. And for those that maybe haven't been following the success this year, you guys have the 10-match winning streak. You have 12 overall wins right now. What's the ride been like this year, maybe from the preseason expectations, just to see how this team is rounded together and then to experience all the success you've had?
Yeah, I think, we've talked a lot about it as a team, just how to navigate conference play versus preseason. And I think preseason was huge for us, as you mentioned. And we won a lot of matches in 3. And so I think that piece, yes, we were challenged, but we were able to pull through at the end of sets kind of regularly for that streak. And so, there was different strength of opponent things. I think the average Big Sky school is better competitively than our average opponent in preseason, at least for how it stacked up and where those teams were in their year this year. So we've really we had a lot of early success, got comfortable in that, I think in good ways and in ways that you need to turn a corner after that for conference. And then now that we get into conference and you see the results from every weekend are just wild. There's no one's winning in 3, literally no one, and no one's losing in 3. And so I think for those reasons, we've just talked a lot about, okay, we didn't get tested. Shouldn't say that. We got tested a lot in preseason, but we weren't tested in 5-set matches. For whatever reason, we were finishing matches, whatever the case was. That's awesome. But now we're at a point in season where we're trading sets with people. We're up 2, where then we're losing 2, and just big momentum swings and teams able to adjust in big ways if we are having early success in a match. And so I think, we've got to learn, and it only gets harder. So
it does. In the Big Sky Conference, wild this year, 1 through 8, all separated by about just 2 games right now, and you guys are certainly in the mix for all of it. For those that maybe haven't followed along, again, all season long with having some of the streaks from 30 years ago to have that, but also with a younger core, Coach, and you have great veteran leadership with your seniors, but also this young core has to give you so much promise for the future of Grizzly volleyball. So how do you like just the mix of your roster right now, and especially with everyone contributing?
Yeah, I love the mix. I love our roster makeup. I think it's been really exciting to see our young group, like you said, establish the way they want to compete. I think that's been huge, and they've been able to do that with sort of the guardrails and the mentorship and leadership from our older class. We've got 2 seniors that have been with us for 4 years. We've got 2 transfer seniors that do an incredible job and are on the floor. And so, I just love our mix of learners. And I think one thing this group has really been committed to is that leadership isn't hierarchical and isn't top down. And so we've got leadership coming from everywhere. And that's not just leadership as in I say the right thing at the right time or I do the right thing off the court. I'm a playmaker when it counts. And so I think those pieces have built a really resilient group and a group that is redefining what our program is every time they take the court, which is why we're, I think, knocking down some records and things that haven't been touched in a while. So I love that. I think they've been committed to that as our young players since they committed. And it's just fun to see them act on all their promises made. And so, it's a thrill.
And that's a great way to put it, too, because you guys are setting new benchmarks. And again, more wins now this year than already last year, and a ton of games ready to go. It's certainly been fun to watch your team play all year. Best of luck this weekend, Allison.
Thank you.
All right, Kyle will rejoin me on the other side of the break, and we'll preview the weekend ahead here on the Griz Insider.
Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
Well, great stuff there from Chris Citowicki and Allison Lawrence as we break down the success of fall sports and look ahead to their postseasons and the end of their regular seasons as well. And Riley, now let's turn the page back to football because it's a big one this week. And there's been a lot of noise outside. And honestly, I've been thinking about it. I don't know a game, probably since the Eastern playoff game, where there was some outside noise. right? Which is kind of fun. You see it on the national level. There's some trash talk. It's fun banter. Dr. Luke Wood loves to hype up Sacramento State. You know, God love him and give him credit for it because that's obviously what he has to do. But man, the Montana Pandas taking on the Sacramento State Hornets, pretty wild.
Figuratively and literally poking the bear, poking the Grizzly Bear here, where you know that it's the final FCS game in the country last week against Northern Colorado. He's on for his big halftime interview, and sure enough, he starts the banter for the week. And you're right, it is fun from our perspective just to have maybe some heightened importance around this game. But you take a look at the Big Sky standings, which we're going to talk about, it doesn't need much more importance than this. This was a game that Montana and we had circled all the way throughout. It was going to be a tough test. Sacramento State, with what they want to do and their aspirations of moving up, whether they ever transpire or not, we'll figure that out together. But they are talking the talk right now. Can they walk the walk? Montana is a total walk the walk type program to where you're not going to hear much from Coach Houck in response this week. I don't think President Bodner is going to be coming out wearing a Montana Grizzly chain and poking the bear right back or stinging the hornet. I don't even have a good reference for that. But it's going to be a fun game off the top. And as we start getting into the matchup more, a lot of points could be put up on the board between these two high-flying offenses.
It's going to be a really interesting game for those reasons because obviously Sac State, as you mentioned, a lot of things going on around the university, right? They're leaving the Big Sky Conference, moving to the Big West for every sport but football, hoping to make the move up to FBS football and obviously find a conference home there. But you look at them, it's been kind of a wonky year. They've been ranked all season long. They've been a good team and a good program the last several years. But it's maybe not quite been the year they want, but they're dangerous because of that offense. When you look at the teams they've lost to, but the teams they've beaten close games as well.
Absolutely. They start off the year losing to South Dakota State and Nevada. You're thinking, okay, 0-2. Let's see what they're going to be moving forward. I think the win over Weber State maybe caught everyone's attention. The loss to Cal Poly was certainly a setback for them. But then last week, a wild one over Northern Colorado, who we've talked about plenty as a different type of Bears team this year. What really just popped off to me is in their last 4 wins, Kyle, they're scoring 40 points per game. What has the Grizzly offense done this year? They've scored 40 points 5 times in their 7 games. So it already has that feel. Same thing as Idaho State. 2 really good offenses. Montana going on the road. That the scoreboard operator better be ready to go because I really see this one being a shootout yet again.
100%. You look at, common opponent as well. The Grizzlies obviously rolling past Cal Poly beating Sacramento State in Sacramento. So, that's kind of like your one look. But you mentioned, too, we talked earlier in the show, the Grizzlies secondary and pass defense has struggled this year. Where you look at Idaho State and Sacred Heart, they were finding success through the air. So if you're Sacramento State, that's probably what you look at and go, I think we got a chance, and I think that's what they look at.
Absolutely, and their identity, that go-go offense under Brendan Marion, their first-year head coach, that they are going to want to pull all the stops out. This is their chance. This is their moment on the national spotlight. This is their moment where all the eyes and all the ears are going to be on Sacramento State. I think that's what Dr. Luke Wood knew as well when he made his statement earlier this week. So this is their moment, and Montana's ready for this challenge. They know they've got the target on their back, but even more so this week with it being on national TV and being on a Friday night.
I was about to say, the national spotlight's going to be a lot of fun and everything. On the field, off the fun, going to be a lot of fun for fans and the schools, and we're going to be excited to be a part of all of it. So the Grizzlies will take on Sacramento State this weekend, and we'll wrap up the Griz Insider after this. Well, as we wrap things up here on the Griz Insider, it's another big week for sports at the University of Montana as October is starting to wind down and playoffs are right around the corner, especially for soccer. And obviously they have a chance at a championship this week and it could be a lot of fun.
Absolutely, Kyle. It's been so much fun. This is one of my favorite episodes of the year, going around all of the fall sports and just connecting with all the head coaches as well, just to see the schedule ahead. And for soccer, this is their massive week, right? They have 1 win in front of them, or 1 win away from that regular season title on Thursday against Portland State. Volleyball returns home after that wild road trip we just talked with Allison Lawrence about, but they will host Idaho State on Thursday, Weber State Saturday afternoon. Big time matches when just looking at that jumbled standings, at least in the volleyball race right now. Then of course Grizzly football, the unique time for them being on Friday night, late 8:30 start, but we've got plenty of pregame coverage for you. It'll start at 5 o'clock on the Grizzly Radio Network, so expanded pregame coverage getting ready to go for that showdown in Sacramento.
Going to be a really fun week and a really fun game with that kickoff for the Montana Grizzlies and Sacramento State Hornets taking place at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time on national TV. And of course, next week here on the Griz Insider, we'll break it all down. For Riley, I'm Kyle. We'll see you next time.